Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah who came in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, we forever praise and thank him for raising up for our salvation the exalted Christ, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And even more so, we thank him for his mercy in the absence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in providing us with a perfect guide, a perfect leader, a perfect teacher, Minister Louis Farrakhan. Beloved brothers and sisters, I'm thankful to Allah to be here with you today, and thank Brother Michael for those kind words. I first met Brother Michael. Fiery young brother was the youngest. He was a teenage minister in the Nation of Islam, and he ain't lost a step. So we're looking forward to some great things from our beloved brother. Brothers and sisters, before I go into my lecture, I would like to also say, speaking of the youth, that I'm very, very proud to stand before you today wearing a new suit. It's not that I've never had a new suit before. Not often, but I do. But I'm very proud of what this one represents to me. This suit is a gift from the brothers in the graduating class of 1994 from Muhammad University. I mean, it came as a total shock. I had no warning. They tell me my wife was in on it, you know, telling them sizes and all that kind of good stuff. But that propaganda, sisters, about y'all can't keep a secret. Believe me, she kept it well. I had no inkling, none, until I walked in and it was presented to me. So it encourages me to strive even that much harder. You know, I'm so proud. I want to thank the parents of those students, because I know the way we keep them busy in the school, they did not have time to go out and make enough money to buy this suit. It was a very, very nice suit, imported and everything. And you know, it was something on all the tags that had something I had never seen before. It said 100% new wool. That's a phrase that I'm unfamiliar with. I've had suits that were all wool before, but it didn't say that. That was a totally new phrase. The first time I've ever seen 100% new wool. You know, all my life, all I've seen is 100% virgin wool. So I guess you can't even trust the sheep no more. Beloved brothers and sisters, Brother Michael began to ask you some questions about Minister Farrakhan specifically. Who is he? Those of you who have seen the flyers or heard through the grapevine know that that is the first half of what we're dealing with today. As our subject, those of you who are Bill Withers fans will recognize it immediately. But our subject today is, who is he and what is he to you? Because that's very, very key. It's one thing to know who somebody is, but if you don't know what they are to you, then who they are may be inconsequential. Good example. There's not a one of you in here who doesn't know about George Washington. You know who he is, don't you? Who he was, right? But what is he to you? Thomas Jefferson. You know who he is, but what is he to you? And the first officer of the MGT came up to me Friday without having discussed with me anything, not knowing that this is how I was going to open this subject. She mentioned to me the first note that I have on here, the fact that George Washington was so great, the father of the country and all of that. If you think about all the Washingtons you ever knew in your life, how many of them were white? Check that out. Well, I guarantee you just about everybody in here knows some black family named Washington. Now, he was the first president, the father of the country. We got all our folks named after him. There ain't no white folks named after him. Need to know who is he and what is he to us. Besides being a slave master. Besides being a slave master. A slave owner. Thomas Jefferson, that's the other thing I hadn't thought of that the sister brought to my mind. I hadn't realized that I don't know no white Jeffersons either. I do remember one white Washington out of all of my 60-some years. I remember because I was, I liked popular music back in the 40s and 50s. One of the most prolific songwriters, along with Gershwin and Rodgers Hammerstein, was a white boy named Ned Washington, Jew boy. The only white Washington that I can remember in my whole lifetime. And I guarantee you his family wasn't named that. Like I say, he was a Jew boy, so he changed his name to that. Thomas Jefferson. You know who he was, don't you? What's he famous for? He wrote the Declaration of Independence that all 13 of the states adopted as gospel, and they formed their whole idea of freedom and revolution and all of that on the paper that he wrote. While he's writing it, I could just see him sitting up there. Put it down. He was his black slave, bringing him a cocktail, bringing him a cup of coffee, lighting his pipe for him, as he was saying this. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitles them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. See what he said? The laws of nature and the God of those laws require that when a people reach a certain stage and they're connected to another people, they need to be unconnected, disconnected, no longer connected, separated, not integrated. We hold these truths to be self-evident. You know what self-evident is? Nobody even supposed to have to point them out to you. Just look at it and understand it. That all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That means can't nobody have the power to take it away from you. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. That's what Jefferson taught. You say that today, you're subversive. I didn't realize how weak the American educational system was. I knew it was weak, but I didn't know how weak it was until I was with Dick Gregory at Emory University in Atlanta. And he was speaking to the student body, and he began to read this, and they didn't know what he was reading. And they got alarmed and thought the police or the National Guard was coming in and get him when he started talking about abolishing the government. And he stopped, y'all don't know? That's Declaration of Independence. And then they all fell out. They couldn't believe that they were that. Here they were, college students, some of them A students, getting ready to come out summa cum laude and all that kind of good stuff. Didn't recognize this document when they read it. And this is a document that is controlling their lives. Now, so obviously, when Tom Jefferson wrote that, he did not consider us human beings, because what he's saying that all human beings had a right to, he was helping to deprive us of those things. Therefore, we were not viewed as human beings. So, you know who Tom Jefferson is? Now you know what he is to us. An enemy. Now, Minister Farrakhan, in the current issue of the Final Call newspaper, is addressing the fact that there are those who are Muslims who are being urged on to attack us under the guise that we are not true Muslims, and trying to promote, as he says, civil strife and bloodshed among the believers of Islam. And he points out, you should read his article thoroughly, because he points out that if these Muslims are true to Islam, they will not let a group of disbelievers urge them on against their brothers. They won't let them do that. The Holy Quran tells them that Allah gives you the best argument. So argue in the best manner. I mean, sit down and put your facts on the table and see who comes out. But you don't raise your hand to another believer who believes in Allah. Oh no. But they say, oh, but we deviate. We're not true Muslims. We don't have Al-Islam. Well, I don't know about Al or Alice or none of the rest of them, but I know this. The Holy Quran points out that when the Muslims under Muhammad came into being, they looked odd to the other Muslims. And it says that in the last days, the new Muslim would look odd to the present Muslims. Okay? Prophet Muhammad. Yes, but you, brother, you've got to believe in Prophet Muhammad. We believe in Prophet Muhammad. Who is he? And what is he to you? Prophet Muhammad was born in a Muslim world that held as its Qibla the place that it turned toward to pray in Jerusalem. When Muhammad grew up and got his mission and everything, all of the Muslims, when they got ready to pray, they turned to Jerusalem. They prayed 3 times a day. You even find that in your Bible. In the Bible, you'll find that Daniel prayed 3 times a day in the direction of the holy city. You'll find that Abraham prayed toward the holy city. Find that when Jonah was down in the belly of the fish, he didn't get out until he turned to the holy city and prayed, and then God made the fish spit him out. There was always that turning to Jerusalem. Now, at one point, Muhammad announced to his followers that they would no longer face Jerusalem to pray, they would face Mecca. And right away, all the Islamic experts like we have around here today began to, why? He can't change the Qibla. Allah established the Qibla. How dare he change the Qibla? Allah says in the Holy Quran, the fools question the changing of the Qibla. That's what Allah called them, fools. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to drum in our heads, those of us who ministered for him. Don't ever be inflexible. Don't ever be resistant to change if there's nothing wrong with the change. And he gave us this to always remember. A wise man changes many times. Fools never change. Look what Allah says in addressing the fools who were objecting to what Muhammad did. None of those of you who say you follow Muhammad now. Muhammad changed. And the fools didn't want to follow him because they thought they understood Islam. Allah told them, the east and the west belong to Allah. Hell, you mean you got to turn toward a particular building in a particular city for Allah to hear your prayer? Doesn't matter. One of his ears going out on him? And at the time that they were praying, that he changed it to Mecca, it was not because Mecca was holy or that the Kaaba was holy. The Kaaba had 360 idols sitting in it right then, and they were worshiping all of them. So Allah didn't have them to turn to a place because it was holy. He explained why he changed it. He said that he changed it to find out who was with his messenger and who wasn't. That was the test. Didn't make any difference about the building. In fact, as he pointed out, that building didn't mean nothing. He said, and you'll find it in the Holy Quran in the 10th surah, the 87th verse, make your houses a direction for men to pray to. You don't need no Qibla. If you live the life that God has ordained for you, then your house will be full of God. Turn to your house and pray. Mr. Farrakhan, who is he and what is he to you? He's that man that Muhammad, 1,400 years ago, foreshadowed that would be here with us. And I ain't got no problem. If he tell me today that when I get ready to say my next prayer, face 63rd Street, that's the way I'm going to be facing. You understand me? I might flunk a lot of tests. That ain't one of them. I ain't got no problem with that. And, of course, you got those so-called experts who used to follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who now try and ridicule the very root and core of his teaching. They run around saying Farrakhan is still spreading the myth of a black scientist creating white folks. Myth. Yeah, he's still spinning the fairy tale about Yakub making white folks. Well, let's see how much of a myth that is. According to all of the laws of genetics, if white folks were here first, as they try to teach us, none of us would be here now. It is genetically impossible for white folks to produce black folks. White dogs can't produce a gray dog. Nothing recessive can produce anything that's dominant. So if anybody produced anybody, we had to have produced them. They say, well, they're still telling that lie. I thought they'd given that up a long time ago, but they're still telling that lie about, you see, those who lived in cold climates, they're white. And those who lived in hot climates, they're dark. Man, how long the Eskimos been at the North Pole? They ain't got white, the hair ain't got blonde, the eyes ain't got blue yet. Praise is due to Allah. You'll find the history of the making of white folks right in your Bible, many places, principally, though, when you see Jacob wrestling with the angel. Jacob. In Hebrew and Arabic, the name is Yakub. And there are a whole bunch of Jews and Arabs running around today with the name Yakub. So they can't deny it. And the Bible was not originally written in English. So it said Yakub. But it talks about how Jacob wrestled with the angel until the coming of the daylight. And he won. And look what said the angel did. Through the hollow of his thigh outer joint. And most of us, when we see that, we just don't even listen to it. We just picture somebody with their hip messed up hopping. Didn't say it messed with his thigh. It said the hollow of his thigh. Know what the hollow is? The space between his thighs. His genetic organs were messed with. And said, then light came out of darkness. White came out of black. Mr. Farrakhan is the one letting us not be lulled back into deeper sleep than we were before. Yes, he's still telling us about this. You lose sight of that, you lose sight on the world. He's also called John in the Bible. In the book of Revelation, it shows him out on an island in a vision, watching the making of this race. See, brothers and sisters, I know all of you have been watching on the news what happened to Brother Ben Chavis. Well, you know, the NAACP, I was at their national convention when it was here when Dr. Chavis announced that one of the things that had been discussed in the board meeting was the changing of the name. Well, they have discussed that in every convention since 1964. In 1964, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was speaking at the National Guard Armory in New York, and a lot of the dignitaries from the NAACP branches in that area came, and he acknowledged them, and he told them that they would do a greater work if they changed their name to the National Association for the Advancement of Black People. All right, now, there were what they label them the Young Turks. A bunch of the young folks in the NAACP started bringing it up. Wherever they meet, every year, they bring that up, put it on the floor, it would be defeated. Understand? But now, there's method to the madness of the folks who won't change that name. That name is accurate. See, Red Fox wasn't just joking when he said it meant National Association for the Advancement of Certain People. He was serious. But it's for the advancement of colored people, if you know what colored is. We used to call ourselves colored people. Guys, when they grow dumb enough today, they still call themselves colored people. They just put it down. People of color. The hell is that? Pardon me. What is that? People of color. You're just ashamed to be black. You tried Afro-American, you tried African-American, all kind of stuff. Now, Afrocentric, you don't want to be black. White folks ain't never been bashful about being white. How come you don't want to be black? Now, when you first come into the Nation of Islam, you're given some lessons. One of the questions in one of the lessons asks, who is the colored man? When you first see it, you say, what's me? It's me. You say, no, it's the Caucasian, the white man. Color? How you get to be white and colored at the same time? That puzzled me for a while, but I didn't want to seem stupid as I was, so I didn't ask. So one day, I was in a supermarket, and I went to get a loaf of rye bread. And I saw right next to the rye bread that I was accustomed to buying some loaves of rye bread, and it said seeded. It said seeded? No, where else can that be? All the rye bread I ever had was full of seeds. You mean to tell me they add some more seeds to it? So I said, well, I'm going to get one. So I got my usual bread just in case I didn't like that seeded stuff. I got a loaf of my usual, but I got a loaf of the seeded. And let me take this home and check this out. So when I got home, I opened up the seeded one, and I pulled out a slice of bread, took it apart, bit on it, and I discovered there was not a seed in the bread. It was seeded because all of the seeds that were naturally in it had been removed. That's what made it seeded. And I sat down and I started thinking. I said, well, you know, that's not too far off. If you called me up and asked me what had I done today, and I told you I just weeded my garden, you wouldn't think I went out and planted some weeds, but you would know that I went and pulled up all the weeds out of my garden, therefore it was weeded. Is that right? You go to the store when you leave here and look at the olives on the shelf and look at the dates on the shelf. And if you get pitted olives and get pitted dates, you get home and none of them got no pits in them. They remove the pits so they're pitted. You remove the weeds so the place is weeded. Remove the seeds so it is seeded. Remove the color and they are colored. That's why one of the most fascinating studies is language. Because when you go into other languages, you can get some of this shown to you. How do you say white in French? Blanc. How do you say it in Spanish? Blanco. What English word comes from that? Blank. Oh, yeah. Who is this man, Farrakhan? What is he to you? We're going to find out. You'll read in Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that the white race was grafted out of black people on an island called Pelan that is called Patmos in the Bible. The book of Revelation, you'll find the Isle of Patmos. Now, the Isle of Patmos is off Greece. So back in 1989, I got a book that's on all the shelves. Let's Go Greece. They got Let's Go California and Hawaii, Let's Go France, Let's Go South America. They got all these travel books for people who want to travel so that you can know what to look for if you're a tourist. So I got Let's Go Greece, 1989, and it says, revived and updated every year. And that's why a couple of years after I bought this, my brother gave me this book. And I began to teach it. I got a call saying that the new one that came out, I think about 91, didn't have the stuff in it that's in this one. This past Thursday, in preparation for today's lecture, I went to a bookstore and and read the 1994 version. Don't have none of this in there. Why? If it was valid then, why is it not in the book today? Let's look at what's in here, and maybe we'll get a clue. All right. Just want to do a few excerpts about Patmos, the Isle of Patmos. Until recent centuries, only monks inhabited the island. But its spectacular scenery and enchanting hilltop village, Korah, could not remain secret. I want you to listen at the words. Could not remain secret. When you say something can't be done, the only way you know it can't be done is because you've tried to do it. Somebody's trying to do it, otherwise you would know it couldn't be done. So if they know it couldn't remain a secret, that meant that they had been trying to keep it a secret, but they were unsuccessful. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, if you go to old bookstores, which is a good habit, if you happen to run into the 1989 version of Let's Go Greece, grab it. It's a jewel. It's a gem. Because, as I said, you won't find this in the later ones. 1975, who were better Muslims than I was. I believe that. So I don't believe that I am blessed to be back in the nation because I earned it. I don't believe that. I'm not back in the nation because I deserve it. I don't believe that. I believe that there are people who earned it more than I did who are not here. Who deserved it more than I did who are not here. So Allah makes his selection not based on any debt he owes us because he don't owe us nothing. He puts us where he wants us and does what he wants with us because he has use for us. And I'm thankful to him that the use he had for me included putting me behind the leadership of Minister Louis Farrakhan. So, beloved brothers and sisters, thank you. I have enjoyed talking to you. And on a subject like I had today, I always enjoy that. And I can make more of our people aware, including those of us who are with them, because we have to be reminded. We remind each other. That Muhammad said, as steel sharpens steel, so man sharpens man. We have to keep each other's faith growing. Well, we have study groups and men's class on Mondays and women's class on Saturday. We reinforce each other's faith. So I'm thankful to Allah for you. And I'm thankful for those of you who already believed when you came in the door, for any of you who we may have touched, who now believe, and any of you who have done all you can do and are continuing to do it, and any of you who want to begin to start trying to help to raise our people up, get us the real freedom, justice, and equality that has been promised but never was delivered until now. Brothers and sisters, I thank all of you. May Allah continue to bless each and every one of you to see your way down this path that we can walk through this valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, because we know Allah is with us, because we're with the man that Allah has put to guide us. Thank you. Salaam alaikum.